Good evening. I'm calling the Monday, October 26, 2020 Planning Commission meeting to order. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item on the agenda after that is the approval of tonight's agenda. Do you have any requests for changes? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda for the evening.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
All right, motion from Commissioner Higgins. Do I have a second?
Second.
And a second from Commissioner Kirk. All those in favor of approving the agenda say aye. Aye. Opposed? Agenda is approved. Next up, the minutes from the meeting held Monday, October 12th, 2020. Any requests for changes or concerns with the minutes from that meeting? All right, seeing none, I entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll motion to approve.
All right, motion from Commissioner Marcos. Do I have a second? Second, Commissioner. And all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Anyone like to abstain? All right, minutes are approved. Moving on, we have one public hearing this evening. Trail Point Ridge PUD Amendment 2020-10, request for a planned unit development amendment on 2.03 acres. Will the proponent please come forward and tell us about your project, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening, Commission members. I have to just pull this up really quickly. So thanks for your time this evening. Just as a reminder, I'll go to the second slide. You have seen this project a couple of times in the past, already approved and built now. But just a reminder of who we are. Common Bond is a 501c3 nonprofit affordable housing provider and developer of affordable housing. We manage all of our own properties and provide some level of service. We are in 3 states, in 57 cities, and we own about 7,500 units throughout the region. Next slide. So again, just a reminder of where this location is. It's just off of Highway 212, across the street from Miller Park, and south of the Huber Funeral Home in Rustica. Again, Smith Village was a public-private nonprofit partnership with United Properties and Common Bond. United Properties is building an affordable co-op for seniors, and we're doing a 58-unit affordable housing project. Our units will serve people at 30, 50, and 60% of ANI, as well as some market rate at the request of the city. There are 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms with 13 supportive housing units. We have a community room, outdoor recreational amenities, and we'll have offices for on-site professional property management and services. These are a couple of slides of the finished product. I hope you've been able to get out there. This shows the stormwater management pond there and the playground that we've built. So here's the issue that we have at hand. Our engineer and architect weren't quite on the same page in terms of how much space this makeup air unit was going to take. So as you can see, it takes up an entire parking space. And this was discovered, unfortunately, a little after the fact with our general contractor and the inspector. So we took a look at, could we turn it the other way? The challenge with turning it the other way is to the left of the screen, you can see that's where the fresh air intake comes into the building. If we were to turn it the other way, because of the grading, we have to create a whole new grade system there. The cost there was about $35,000 to $40,000 to move it. So we're trying to look at how do we come up with that kind of money versus building an additional surface parking stall outside. So the difference in cost was $5,000 versus $35,000 to $40,000. So we really appreciate the ability for us to provide fewer parking stalls than originally was required. We really appreciate that that provision that you provided us. And unfortunately, we're at the spot right now where we just don't have that extra $30,000 to move that air handler. But we still believe we'll have sufficient parking spaces for folks. If you go to the next slide, this again is our solution. The agreement was 116 stalls, 49 covered, 67 surface. We just did 1 less covered, and our solution is to do 68 surface and 48 covered. And on the next slide, this shows you in a little red, I don't know if I have do I have a little? There we go. Right there is a little red spot there. It shows you where the extra parking spot is. We did, as per the staff report, we had a decision to make about whether or not we moved forward with installing it. So we figured the worst case scenario, if you didn't approve tonight, is we'd have an extra parking spot. But the cost differential to build the additional one spot outside was going to cost us about $10,000 because we would have to bring all the contractors back. And at the time, that was when the parking lot and the curb was being built. So we went ahead and did that parking spot, understanding that you needed to prove that, and there was a risk that we took of spending that $5,000. But it didn't seem to make any sense to hold off and spend 10. So we're respectfully requesting that you approve our request to increase the service parking spots by 1 and decrease the underground covered spots by 1 as well. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Thank you. Any initial questions? Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Julie, will you handle the planner's report?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, members of the commission, the applicant did a very thorough job of presenting the talking points as to what prompted the need to amend the the PUD. So the issue before you, as she explained it, was the air exchanger or HVAC system that took up one of the underground parking stalls. So when that issue came to staff's attention, we worked through a variety of different potential solutions and talked with the applicant as well as the architect, trying to find some other solutions. This is where we've ended up based on the information that the applicant shared with you in her discussion. So the city code is very clear that when a waiver is granted through the PUD process, which is what was granted to allow the 49 underground stalls versus the 58 required by code, that in order to amend an existing waiver, the request has to go through the full process, which means a public hearing at the Planning Commission as well as the City Council. So I understand that the request is not as broad in nature as a full development review process, because we're talking about a parking stall and moving it from inside to outside essentially as part of this request, but that is the essence of the request before you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Staff is recommending approval of the PUD amendment in order to continue to move this process forward.
Thank you. Questions for Julie right away? Commissioner Farr?
Mr. Chair, 2 quick questions. First, on the site plan, there's a dashed line going around just inside the property line, presumably a setback line. I don't know if it's parking setback or building setback, but this one stall crosses over that dashed line. Could you confirm that's a building setback line instead?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, that is an easement line, and the parking stall as proposed or constructed does cross into that easement line, but however, the engineering staff has reviewed that. There are not any utilities within that easement in that location that would be problematic in the future.
Good. Okay, thanks. And the second question doesn't have anything to do with the parking stall per se, but the dumpster and recycling staging area that's right across from that parking stall. There's some concrete pads that we must have approved for what's called a staging area, and there is indoor trash storage in the lower level. So could I just get a clarification either from you or from the applicant on when the staging area is being used, if it's just on garbage pickup day? There were a couple dumpsters there when I drove past, and I didn't know if that was going to be a long-term thing.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, the staging area for trash will be utilized on pickup days. So the trash will be stored in the underground parking area of the building and will only be wheeled out for pickup, and then, of course, wheeled back in for use by the residents.
Thank you.
Other questions? This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to come forward and speak for or against this project, please do so now. All right, seeing none, I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, move to close the public hearing.
All right, motion by Commissioner Kirk. Do I have a second to close the public hearing?
I'll second.
All right, second by Commissioner Higgins. All those in favor of closing public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, public hearing's closed. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, move to recommend approval for the plan unit development amendment on 2.03 acres based on plan stamp dated October 15th, 2020, and a staff report dated October 21st, 2020.
All right, I have a motion for approval by Commissioner Kirk. Do I have a second? Commissioner Toomey is second. All those in favor of approving the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Would anyone like to abstain? All right, motion carries. Thank you. Good luck finishing up your project. Moving on, do we have any planners reports this evening?
No, sir.
All right, do we have any members reports? All right, entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting this evening.
I'll move to adjourn.
All right, do I have a second? All right, Commissioner Gooding with a second. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.